Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So today we're going to be looking at the pathway to a supermajority for the GOP in the 2018 Senate election. So right now, we're looking at the map. The Republicans already have 42 seats. The Democrats have a mere 23. Most of their seats are up in this election, and obviously that is not good for them. Looking at the 35 contested races, 10 of these races were won by Donald Trump. 10 of these states, were won by Donald Trump in 2016. Right now, the Democratic Party is probably going to hold on to a couple of them, but if we are talking about the situation in which the GOP does and gets a supermajority in the 2018 Senate elections, we're going to be looking at a couple of states that we may not have been looking at before for a regular 2018 election prediction. So just a little bit of background, looking at the current Senate, the 115th Congress before the 2018 midterm elections, which is in 12 days, by the way. That's a pretty astonishing, I guess, date, considering that this is going to come up very fast and we are getting very, very close to the elections. To me, I personally do not see these elections this close. I'm just still not comprehending how elections that I've been covering since early 2017 are finally coming to an end. I've made a video about the Senate race in July of 2017. In fact, probably nearing Election Day, I will be doing daily Senate and governor election predictions, but I will be also looking more in depth and looking at my previous predictions and what changed and which way they went, because I want to compare my first prediction to my last prediction, and yes, I will have a final prediction. If my prediction is wrong, then it's wrong. I mean, no one's ever going to 100% accurately predict an election unless you're Nate Silver in 2012. But overall, when we're looking at stuff like this is not a prediction. This pathway to a supermajority is just a pipe dream for the GOP. This is not some type of, this is my 2018 election prediction. Wow. No, that's not at all what it's going to be. So I know I'm going to see comments about how the GOP is never going to win in this state. Keep in mind, this is all fiction. It is possible, which is why that I'm going to use the most likely states in terms of what could flip and what could stay in the Democratic column. But for right now, when we're looking at this map, take this with a grain of salt. This is purely just where can they get the supermajority, not they are going to get a supermajority. So we'll start off by analyzing the first safe blue states. There are a couple. I mean, there's a lot of them. Not New Jersey, though. Did not mean to hit on New Jersey. We can go over to California, Washington, Hawaii, pretty much Democratic states, like usual. Go over to my home state of Maryland, Delaware, Massachusetts, which does not click there, Connecticut, Rhode Island, in reverse order. Of course, Vermont with Bernie Sanders, and Maine with Angus King. New York with Kirsten Gillibrand, Chris Murphy in Connecticut. I just named a couple of possible 2020 contenders besides Angus King. So Bernie Sanders, probably. Kirsten Gillibrand, probably not. Chris Murphy, probably not, but when I say probably not, you mean 60-40. Looking at a couple of other races, let's see if they have any other safe, quote-unquote, safe Democratic states. The reason why I'm going through and labeling these as solid blue and solid R, I'm not going to be characterizing these based off lean, tilt, likely, or safe. These are purely going to be, I'm going to call them safe when I'm labeling them out, but when I'm calling a race, let's say Florida is going to go in the GOP column in this video, just a little insight into it. But right now, Florida, that's going to be safe. Solid red, sure, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to expect a Democrat to lose there by 15%. The incumbent's not going to lose by 15%. I'm only doing that for the sake that this map is a three-color map. Okay, gray, not really gray, sorry, tan, red, and blue. I don't want any shades on it right now because it really doesn't matter. A win is a win at this point. Yes, it will matter in the regular 2018 election prediction, but if we're looking at it, we know it's going to flip. It's probably going to flip. This is purely numbers alone. This is not margins at all. So right now we're looking at 24 quote-unquote contested races that I haven't yet to fill in. So there are a couple that I'm going to fill in right now. Minnesota at large right now, Amy Klobuchar, she possibly could run in 2020 as well. There are a number of candidates right now that possibly could run in 2020 and are being named by some top Democratic officials and some more progressive Democratic officials who aren't necessarily at the top. But right now when we're looking at the map, overall, good for the Democrats so far because they are holding on to a couple of states that may have been able to flip in previous maps before. Not Minnesota, but if we're looking at a couple of other areas, maybe Maine could have been vulnerable. It could have been called possibly going vulnerable earlier on, but not now. So the Republican Party obviously going to have the majority at the end of the day, a supermajority. We're going to be looking at that very closely. Let's go over to a couple of other safe Democratic states. Let's see if we have any at this point. New Mexico, probably going to characterize this one as a safe state considering Gary Johnson is taking a lot away from the GOP. I just think with that amount of vote splitting, the Democrats are probably going to win by a plurality, but still by over 15%. Virginia, there is no way that Tim Kaine loses there. Unfortunately for Corey Stewart, this is going to be a second election loss. And right now, looking at that race itself, sure, it could be contested based off how the state is. Virginia is never really a safe state for either political party, but right now with Tim Kaine, with a candidate that won his home state, won the home state for the presidential candidate. So Tim Kaine, if you don't know, vice presidential candidate for Hillary Clinton back in 2016. And if we're looking at this overall, Tim Kaine is going to win this. This is like a completely uncontested race. The GOP is not funding any money into it. Corey Stewart is just here. Contested GOP primary in both of Corey Stewart's elections. So when we're looking at this, Tim Kaine is probably going to edge this out by over 15%. So I wouldn't say edge it out. But we have 37 Democrats, 42 Republicans. Let's go ahead and look at a couple of other safe GOP states. So 42 Republicans. When it comes down to these GOP safe states, there are not many. The GOP is already at 42. So even if they did only have a couple, like 3 or 4, that puts them already at 44, 45, 46, which is getting very close to a majority. The Democrats currently have 14 safe states rated for them already, and they're only at 37. So keep that in mind when looking at this map. When I say there aren't that many GOP states, that's still good. The GOP does not have many seats up in this election. So the first state we would characterize as safe is Mississippi. The Mississippi Senate special election is obviously pretty safe for the GOP, along with the special election is pretty safe, but the at-large election is definitely safe. We're seeing maybe a 14 to 20 point margin in the Senate election, the special election, overall Senate election, 28% to 40% in favor of the GOP on election day. So Mississippi, obviously not a contested race in either of the two races themselves, but probably one more than the other if we were to characterize any of them as, not safe per se. Going over to Utah, that is another state. Mitt Romney doing phenomenal there as an outsider, now an insider, whatever it may be, however you want to call it, he's going to win. So going over to Wyoming, that is another safe Republican state. That one goes into the GOP column, putting them at 46. So you know how I said they would be at 46? Yeah, we're adding Nebraska to the GOP column. That puts them at 47, based off safe states alone, which means that even on a non-supermajority map, we're seeing the Democratic Party already disenfranchised with this map. We have 16 races left. The GOP needs 3. The Democrats need 14 in order to take back the majority here. So if we're looking at it, not a good sign for them. First of all, not even a good sign in the general election now or in this hypothetical election at all. So overall, the GOP definitely had the advantage here. If they don't retain the majority, they definitely didn't play any of their cards right. Considering that I have 4 races left to characterize in the GOP column, and then we're going to move into the remaining 9 races that they need to get as a pickup, we're going to actually just go ahead and hop right over into the states that will retain in the Democratic column. We're going to go state by state. So start off with Michigan. Michigan and Pennsylvania, those are 2 states that Trump won in 2016. Yes, I mean, he won here, but that doesn't mean these races are going to be contested. Right now, the polling data in Michigan and Pennsylvania are both in double digits and high double digits, plus 18, plus 20, plus 23 in these Senate elections in a state that was for the GOP in 2016. Looking at another state, Pennsylvania re-elected a GOP senator back in 2016, more than they elected Donald Trump to the presidency. So this state isn't necessarily a Democratic state on a Senate election level, not a Democratic state on a governor election level. It's just that this election definitely is going something against the president. There is no way, if Hillary Clinton was president, that Bob Casey would be winning by these margins. And yes, Trump is disapproved here. He's not positively viewed in the state of Pennsylvania. He wasn't before the election. He was shortly after the election, and then started dipping down and to where it is now. So right now, looking at these 2 states themselves, not too good of a look for the president of the United States. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the races we're going to characterize, because every single one of these races we have yet to characterize is going to go towards the the Republican Party, except for Ohio. So that's another state that I forgot to characterize. Trump almost won here by 10%, though, so that's pretty surprising as well. That's a drastic swing, but I don't want to keep you guys waiting too much longer. So we're going to go ahead and characterize all the states that are going to retain in the GOP column currently held by the GOP: Texas, Arizona, and Nevada. I just filled in the Sun Belt that goes in favor of the GOP. They are already at the majority with 50 seats because of Vice President Mike Pence. Another state, the state of Tennessee, is now going to go into their column, giving them a total of 51. So just based off the states that they hold alone, that puts them at 51. Yes, that's the current number now, but right now they're expected to win in all of these races, every single one of them. Arizona, 538, says that the Democratic candidate has a better shot than I'm giving them credit for at this point. But I do expect actually this one to be in the still Democratic column. But right now, as of today, as of Thursday, October 25th, I would say the GOP could narrowly win this one. Less than 1%, but still, again, a win is a win. I'm going to keep repeating that because the margins don't matter at the end of the day. They will matter 6 years from now, but right now, just looking at the numbers, when it's numbers alone and things come down to singular votes, a win is a win regardless. So we have a total of 9 contested races, and all of which are going to go to the GOP. So we're going to actually go ahead and fill in every single one of these states right now and then start getting to each one. So right now, the reason why I picked these ones and not other states, New Jersey. Let's start off with New Jersey. That is a race where Bob Menendez is not positively viewed in. He is not a positive candidate. I mean, overall, general connotation by his name, I guess, has a negative one. We're looking at the polling numbers, very, very bad polling numbers in terms of not only his election, but also his approval. He's not necessarily losing to Bob Hugin, but the fact that he's in a +5, +4, +7 as a Democrat in a Democratic wave year, as a Democratic incumbent from a Democratic state in 2016, everything should be in his favor. But it isn't because of his unpopularity. So that's one of the reasons why New Jersey could go to the GOP, giving them the pathway to the supermajority. Next state is the state of West Virginia. That is a state that right now is pretty positive for Joe Manchin. This race has actually moved in the likely Democratic column on Real Clear Politics, but still, West Virginia probably going to be a prime target if they were looking at a supermajority, and if it was possible, it would go through West Virginia before Ohio, Michigan, or Pennsylvania. In Indiana, that's a race where Joe Donnelly currently actually is behind in the most recent poll by +4%, so definitely you could say that one could go to the GOP. For Wisconsin, that is a race that a couple people probably aren't going to like that I picked on, along with Minnesota's special election. But when we're looking at the numbers there, those are the closest races out of all of the Rust Belt. So when we're looking at Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, right now the Democratic candidates are doing phenomenal there compared to Wisconsin and Minnesota's special election. Tina Smith leading by +7, and then Tammy Baldwin leading by +8. That's lower, but it's still pretty high for a Democrat in a Republican state in Wisconsin. But Minnesota is pretty much expected. But when we're looking at Michigan, +18, Pennsylvania +20. So in comparison, Wisconsin was the most GOP state, most likely to go to the GOP. Now we have a remainder of 4 races. We can go over to Missouri. That is a race that already possibly could go to the GOP, and it's a very close race right now, so that one you can't really expect to not be on this list. Florida is another race where Rick Scott is doing pretty phenomenal, but he is a incumbent governor, so against the Democratic incumbent, definitely something to watch. Montana, North Dakota. Montana is already a lean Democratic state, so this is not necessarily the most likely at 2018, but North Dakota being likely, I mean, it's a likely GOP state on Real Clear Politics. So if we're looking at the numbers, North Dakota is probably already going to go to the GOP, so that one is not too unexpected, whereas Montana is probably a little bit different than before. So looking at the current Senate map, we have 49 Democrats, 251 Republicans. The new Senate map, 60 Republicans and 40 Democrats. Now, the map has a lot more red on it in states like Wisconsin, North Dakota, Montana, Indiana, Missouri, and Florida. And if we're looking at a couple of other races, I think that we're missing one. New Jersey, I guess, has a little bit more red. But overall, Nevada as well. Actually, not Nevada. Let's see if we can actually... I'm assuming I named them all because it was a total of 9 pickups. But if I did miss one, then I missed one. But West Virginia, I think I missed. But overall, this is the... and Minnesota. But if we're looking at the numbers now, 60 Republicans, 40 Democrats, pickups in Wisconsin, Indiana, West Virginia, New Jersey, Minnesota special election, Missouri... I think I already said that. Let me just restart it. Okay, Montana, North Dakota, Missouri, Wisconsin, Minnesota special election, Indiana, West Virginia, New Jersey, and Florida. That's a total of 9 pickups for the GOP, giving them the pathway to the majority. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.